Suppose I'll go first. Probably if no one else has a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, so I suppose this is my first call in the community, and currently I've been traveling South America for the last 7 months and trying to make a bit of a career switch into the world of remote appointment setting and closing.
Hmm.
I have a rough idea of where to get started. My background is in medical engineering. So I think I have a good foundation because I've been on hundreds of sales calls just from a consumer perspective. And it's just, I suppose, getting started, getting my CV up to date, and really trying to find job leads is probably the biggest area I'll struggle with, getting
Hmm.
interviews sorted and things like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, one thing you're going to want to make sure that you have is a solid intro video. That's by far the most important aspect of the process that's going to determine how many interviews you land. Um, yeah, is there, so you said you're struggling to find job leads. Where are you looking right now?
Well, I suppose I imagine it will be. It's my first week kind of exploring this. Um, but yeah, I have a general video just on quick background of myself that's around a minute long. But I suppose similar to my CV, do I tailor that per job description or is it just a general video to send out?
Yeah, it just depends on your strategy for submitting applications. Tailoring is obviously going to be the best for any dream offers that you really want to land. Like, let's say you looked into a company, you've seen like whatever green flags that you're looking for. Let's say they've got reps on the team earning the amount of commission you want to earn, doing the stuff you want to do. It's they're selling a product that you really believe in. You can see they have great testimonials. If it's just a really great company, customized outreach, customized intro video, that's always going to be the best. Um, but it's also not the most practical. So you should have a general one just for the majority of your applications. But then when you do come across a company that's like, man, I would really love to work here, then yeah, I would definitely go ahead and make a custom one.
Yeah, so my current approach is kind of just since I have a limited experience, just flat out apply for anything I can get and kind of start to develop some experience. And then once I have a couple of months under my belt, then kind of tailor it down and be more specific and more intentional with outreach. Would that be a good
Yeah.
approach, do you think? Just land
Yeah, absolutely. You
the
don't want to
job
be too
first.
picky at first. Land a role that allows you to, make some money, build your track record, get some closes under your belt or some sets, depending on what role you're going for. But it also just depends on your current situation, financial situation. What you kind of need to do from that standpoint would, differ. So there's not one way to kind of do it, one way to get into this industry. So yeah, it really just depends on
Okay.
what you're
Good.
looking for.
Perfect. Thanks.
No problem. I see we got one more hand up. Robin, what's up, man?
Yo, what's up, man? I just got a question. So I'm a setter right now. What do you feel is the best pathway to go down after maybe, for example, you're tired of setting or you want something different, right? Because I've seen obviously like you can go into closing, but I've seen people say go into like CSMs or management, like set management. I mean, what do you feel like has been like, for example, like, your personal experience or
Yeah,
what
I've
you've seen.
I've been in all of the positions. I've been a setter, I've been a closer, I've been a CSM, been a sales manager. They all have their pros and cons. So it kind of just depends on what you enjoy. CSM looks like a great role, and they're all great roles. But I would say with the CSM, one, whatever you're coaching under, you really do have to be a subject matter expert at what you're coaching, right? So CSM is not just like another role. It's I was a CSM for a sales training company, but if you're a CSM for like a real estate company, you've got to know a lot about real estate. If you're a CSM for like a marketing coaching company, you've got to be like an expert marketer because you're going to be coaching people on how to do the thing, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind about the CSM position is you are literally it's usually a big company where maybe a founder built it off the back of their coaching skill. Then they've scaled to the
Right.
point where they've got so many students that they need to bring in other coaches to coach some of their students because they like that one-on-one feel rather than making everything group calls. So again, they're looking for someone who can coach at a certain level for that specific niche. So it's not as simple as like, okay, I'm going to go from salesperson to CSM. There's also got to be a field that you know a lot about. For sales managing, I mean, even if you're really good at sales, it doesn't mean you're going to be a really good sales manager as well. You've got to really have a heart for just like helping people and being ready all day, every day, calling people throughout the day, checking on people. You have to be really good at breaking down calls, reviewing stuff. What makes some salespeople really bad sales managers is they're used to just being able to go out and, you know, eat what they kill and just kind of grind it out to make their commissions. But as a sales manager, a lot of that is dependent on how your team performs. And, you know, I mean, almost all of it's dependent on how your team performs and your ability to communicate what you know to do into them in a way that they actually perform it. And in some ways, it's even more of a volatile role because when the team's doing great, everything's great. But when the team's not doing great, you've got pressure from both ends because you've got reps that are like, I'm struggling, I'm not making money. Should I jump ship? Should I stay? What's going on? I need help. And then you've got the founders looking down at you being like, what's going on with the team? They're not performing. Yeah. So it's like, it's a lot of pressure. Now, when it's great, again, you're making a lot of money. When the team's crushing it, you're getting a cut of that. You're getting a cut off multiple reps. It's awesome. But again, when it's not great, it's really not great, right? Same thing with the CSM role. When students are doing great, when everyone's crushing, it's awesome. When closers are closing people that maybe shouldn't have been closed, right? Or, you know, they're coming in with mixed expectations, or every time if a customer is not happy with the product or service, you're the one who has to either, you know, have a conversation, save the refund request or whatever, right? So there's a lot of admin in that role as well, where, you know, you're dealing with really happy customers and you're dealing with unhappy customers. So like there's pros and cons to every role. And it really just depends on what you would enjoy more, right? Do you really like the aspect of sales? Because there's a lot of sales reps want to get out of sales and move into another position when they get to a point where they feel like it's like a hamster wheel where they're constantly selling. But there's also ways to stay in the position and not be on a hamster wheel in terms of building a pipeline, building a brand that brings in your own leads and commanding a higher commission on the offer. There's lots of sales reps that are chilling, have a massive referral base, and they make hundreds of thousands of dollars, even at some of the biggest companies, millions of dollars a year, doing it that way. So there's other ways to kind of solve those issues without moving into another role thinking it's like, well, this shiny new thing, or if it's like the obvious progression. I wouldn't say it's not like setter, closer, you know, CSM or whatever, sales manager. It's not like a linear path. They're all just different roles. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess just to stem from that, then, I mean, I really wanted once again to close in. How do you feel would be the best way to kind of break into that? Because I'm thinking of investing into a coach, like a closing, you know, someone who can teach me how to close properly. Um, I guess what are your opinions on that?
Well, we'll talk about how to get into closing first. You're at appointment setter currently. The easiest, well, it depends on what the company you're at right now looks like. So as an appointment setter, I'm assuming you're a good one. It's a lot easier to become a closer at your current company if it's a big company. If it's a
Okay.
small company, it's a lot easier to become a closer elsewhere. And the reason why is because if it's a small company, meaning you're one of three setters or one of two or one of five, the struggle there is if you're really good, you're top of the team, losing you means losing a huge chunk of call volume. So they probably just won't want to put you as a closer because who's going to replace the sets that you do? And on the
Right.
flip side, if you're bad and you're not a big chunk of calls, why would they make you a closer? You know what I mean? So on both ends, it's hard to be with a small team and then transition to closing. There is a way, which I'll talk about in a second, but it is more difficult. On a big team, even if you're doing great, if there's 10, 15, 20 appointment setters, it's not a huge loss to put you in the closing position. And they usually have like a structure in place to progress people into closing anyways. So that usually just comes down to having a conversation with the sales manager about that transition. But it's as simple as starting to apply at other companies for closing positions. And at your current position, if you're like, hey, I love this offer, love where I'm at, I would love to sell this one, I would go to the manager and have a discussion about what KPIs, what numbers would they want you to see you hit consistently in order to progress into that closing position. And usually the fear is, okay, well, you've got to prove yourself. And what I would do is I would negotiate something that allows me to show I can sell outside of my KPI. So, for example, if your business owner wanted you to book like 3 calls a day, let's say you were supposed to book like 20 calls a week, right? I would say, okay, if I book 20 calls a week, could I book every 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th call for myself to self-set close and show you that I can close, right? And usually the business owners will be okay with that, right? It's like, okay, well, if you hit KPI, you've done your job, filled the calendars, and if you can exceed that, yeah, you can take those calls. And then you start off as like a self-set closer, and usually you'll get like a higher commission for that too, maybe 5% for the set, 10% for the close, maybe you'll get 15% for self-setting anyways. So that's a good way to like slowly transition and then eventually be fully closing if you are constantly closing at a good rate. But then also speak to the business owner about replacing yourself before you let go of it. And that would be, especially if you're on that smaller team, because again, they wouldn't want to lose your set. So you have to find some way to replace yourself, whether it's in your network or something like that. Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah. Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And one thing I will say about sales trainers and like investing in a coach or something like that, investing in a coach is really good if there are some foundational principles you want to learn. But not like if you want to learn the overall closing structure, maybe you need some tips on handling certain objections and stuff like that. Sure. But you want to be very careful that no matter what offer you go to as a closer, that company's going to have their own ideology, and you're going to have to be moldable, because what's working over there is working over there, and has your, whoever you pay, even if it was me, someone else, whoever you pay, have they closed in a similar niche, in a similar offer? Because again, offers are different, prospects are different. So you want to learn the overarching principles of, how to build trust, how to probe, what makes a good pitch, instead of like scripts and word tracks. So whoever you do end up working with, make sure that that's what they're teaching you, and they're not just trying to teach you like, these are all the scripts, these are all the word tracks you do, because they might work for certain offers, but then they won't work for others, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was already considering, because I'm not on an offer right now. So I was just considering, okay, I've not got any closing experience, so I might as well just invest into someone and kind of learn, their ideology, or however they teach it, then, try and sell.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, if you're confident in your ability to, I mean, if you don't do, is it the fact that like you don't know anything about how to go about the closer framework at all?
I mean, it's not really that, but I just want to learn a proper way of doing it. I feel like if I learn myself, I'm just gonna learn a bunch of people's methods, kind of bring it all
Yeah.
together. I kind of want to learn just one thing and just make sure I perfect that, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I would say look into people that have sold in a niche that you would like to sell in as well. That would just
Okay.
help a little bit. Um, because they're always going to be speaking from their experience, right? So, yeah, speak to people that have sold in a niche that you're looking to sell in. And then on top of that, just don't be too married to the exact way they do it. Don't be too rigid, because, again, whatever offer you go to, they're going to have their way of doing things that works.
Right,
And
of
then you'll
course, yeah.
bring in your own way as well, but you're going to have to kind of start the way they're doing it and slowly implement things that you have tried to see what actually is your own style, and kind of come up with your own style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, perfect. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say on that is be careful of coaches that try to make you sound exactly like them, right? What you want is for them to bring out, to use sales principles, but also help you bring out your own style of selling. You know what I mean? Not just be a parrot of how they sell, because their tonality, their mannerisms, all of those things come into play. And just because you don't sound exactly like them, say it exactly the way they would say it, if that's kind of where they're trying to say, hey, you need to fix this, then instead of trying to help you develop your own style, then that's where there'd be an issue.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Is it Puya? Am I pronouncing it right?
That's right. Hi, Ty. I just want to also complete what our last friend Rohit was saying. Um, what was I gonna say to him? Totally escaped my mind. Anyway, I really liked your feedback about what you shared. Totally lost. I had something to tell you. Once I remember, I'll message you. Anyway, so quick background: 1.5 million sold high ticket in the past 3 years. Been in, had my own businesses, multiple businesses before, etc. The challenge I'm facing the last year, well, let's just back up. I saved enough money to launch my own business. I tried different things, community building, da da da. Exhausted myself on social media, and essentially went back to offers again because it wasn't sort of supporting me. And so, but the challenge is I just sort of just got off whatever was available, reaching out to friends and referrals. And unfortunately, a lot of the offers I got didn't work out for me. And I learned a lot about what I don't like health offers and things that just it wasn't resonating. And so where I am right now is I'm about to get another offer. So I like to make the right decision so that I'm not just, chasing after things that are not solid. So I know part of this my own clarity. So I have two-part question. One is about the difference between getting like a 5 to 10K offer where I work part-time, and I don't know if it exists. I assume it does, right? Maybe working 3 days a week and then building my own business on the side because I have a passion of building communities and my own business, my own independent income. Or getting like a really high end offer, like 50 hours a week, make 10, 20, 30K a month, save, and then quit and then go get my own thing. So I'd love to know, if you have any feedback on that. And then the second thing is about management and pipeline. Because I've been doing sales for a while and I definitely feel like I'm on that squirrel cage. But I do enjoy selling. Like I love improving on it. I still feel passionate about it. But there are times where when people are talking about their goals, I just want to shoot myself in the head. And I don't want to hear another person tell me about their their goals.
Yeah. So when it comes to like the offers, I remember I was looking at one guy, he was doing like 40K a month, closing like 7 deals a month, taking like 10 to 15 sales calls a month. So there's lots of roles out there
Wow.
that, you can do part-time. Technically you're full-time, but part-time in terms of actual working hours and earn the commissions that you want. Those types of roles are usually given to people, with yourself that have a bit of a track record, a little bit less managed. And usually it's really high ticket stuff. Really high ticket is relative, but we're talking like 50K offers, 100K offers. I remember I coached a rep that was doing like 70K a month. It was a 150K offer. He was selling like 7 to 10 people, on a monthly basis. So it really just
And what were they,
depends
like
on
real
the
estate
offer.
or things like that? Were they like
Yeah,
real estate or?
so that specific one was like e-commerce store build out. So they would take like high net worth individuals and done for you build out an entire store and stock it and everything like that for
Okay.
them. And all they had to do is just, drop 100K and they would go and get the inventory and just do everything for them. So it was more of like a, I guess, passive e-com business startup kind of thing. And there's lots of different offers out
Okay.
there. Even if you just Googled or ChatGPT, like, hey, what are some like companies that sell remotely via sales reps that are worth $50,000 to $100,000, and it'll give you a list, and then you just go after companies like that. 'Cause that will be like where you can have a lot more commissions with a lot less time. Now, will those companies bring on someone who's a complete beginner? Probably not, because that type of offer, there's a lot of relationship marketing to it. There's a lot of referrals to it.
Hmm.
And on top of that, there's just a level of confidence that you want to have when you're going to be speaking to, people that are dropping 50 to 100K are going to be multi-7-figure business owners, professionals. So they want to see that, you are one as well. Probably not the best offer for a beginner, not saying that you are, but just for everyone in the room, probably not the best offer for beginners, simply because those offers are usually less managed as well. Like they usually
Hmm.
might not have like a sales manager overlooking you every second and stuff like that, right? They just expect you to know how to sell and kind of let you do your thing. But yeah, that's kind of like the progression for closers that go from like that big team grinding out, like taking 8 calls a day. They've been doing that for a few years, and then eventually they kind of come into a company as like a partner, you know. And it's like, hey, I'll take your calls. You don't need to micromanage me and like review my calls every day. I've been doing this for X amount of time. I've generated millions in this thing, and then you go from there, right? Like I remember I had a smaller ticket, but I had an offer that I was on where I was building my business on the side, and we had no meetings. He just put calls on my calendar. I closed them, and that was it. You know, commission got sent, and that was it. There was no meetings, no nothing. And it was just a solopreneur. He just ran YouTube ads through a funnel, and they booked into my calendar, and that was that. But again, if it was like my first sales offer ever, he would have never brought me in to do that, you know? So yeah, so there's definitely roles like that. As for which one you should do, it just depends on what you want. You know, if you want to start building your business now, you can look for an offer like that, no problem. If you want the one good thing, especially for people that's goal is to eventually build a business. And I always had the ideology that instead of like buying a bunch of programs, because you have people that have dropped like 20K, 100K on a bunch of different programs. Part of why I've been a setter, been a closer, been a sales manager, been a CSM is because my long-term goal was always to run my business. And I knew that if I took every position I took on gave me an inside look at the company for free, or at least they paid me to get an inside look. So for example, I was a CSM for, some of you might have heard it, but at Closers.io with Cole Gordon and Remote Closing Academy and stuff, right? So that company at the time when I was there, they were doing like 4 or 5 million a month. And I got to talk to the marketing guys. I got to talk to the sales manager. I got to network all around, and, you know, I got to meet a lot of people from there. I got access to all of their courses, all of their training. I got to see all that stuff. They had like a business owner training thing that's like 60 grand that I got access to all of it for free just because I worked there. You know what I mean? So for yourself, whatever business you want to start, go get a job there. Go get a job at a company that does the same thing. And then you'll see how the business you want to do does things at scale, right? And then you'll learn so much. You'll learn so much about what you want to do and how to best go about it. I got to see, for example, I got to see all their ads, how they tracked the ads, how they measured performance, like all of these things I got to see for free. If I were to pay for all the things I got access to, it would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So yeah, it just depends on if you feel like you're ready to just jump in. But again, if you're like, hey, you know what, I'm down to just make 10, 15K a month as a closer for a while I learn and absorb and look on the inside, talk to everyone at the team, everyone here. If your goal is to start a business one day, just go be a sales rep for that company. Because if you learn how to sell the thing you want to sell in the future, it's just going to be so easy to sell it in the future, you know, because you've been doing it for years. So yeah, that's what I would say to that.
Yeah, this is great feedback. Thank you. I really like that. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, my business that I'm building is like a community. I like creating like coaching and community and like things that really are transformative. And but I'm not super clear about my business. I just know it involves with building like sort of like communities and people, like coaching containers. But I guess I could just research that a little bit more.
Well, look around and see who has what you want to build. And then see if you can partner with them in some way. Maybe it's sales, maybe it's the marketing team, maybe it's just go see what position pays enough that you'd be willing to go work with them for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, the customer success manager and management seems like is inspiring to me. I like talking to people, you know. Just the sales is getting a little bit repetitive, and it just feels really repetitive. But I think my challenge has always been, it seems like the most direct and easiest thing for me to get, because as a closer you can just get an offer quickly, they put you on quickly. But I think this call is helping me to really, you know, make a decision from a place of clarity and take my time.
Yeah, even if you got to make a little bit less for a bit, as long as it's sustainable for you, why not? I mean, part of what helped me build Rep Select a lot was talking to they have an entire recruiting team over there at Closers.io, and we would meet with them on a weekly basis, and I would take my whole roster at 100 sales reps that I was coaching, and I would present them to the recruiters and they would say yes or no based on different factors. So I got to see what they liked, what they didn't like, why they picked certain reps over other reps. That's why I'm able to now be like, hey, this is what recruiters are looking for. This is what business owners are looking for, because I spent a year and a half placing tons of reps, and we were placing reps for like Tony Robbins' team, Grant Cardone's team, like tons of different sales team across the industry. And I got to see what they were looking for specifically, because they said, no, not that rep, yes, that rep. And I got to ask them why, right? So there's lots of benefits to going and finding that the companies that you want to, work in that industry in the future. What was your second question again?
One thing just came up as you just said that you mentioned earlier that a solid intro video is like the most important thing. Is there a video or resources on what is that look like?
Yeah, I actually have it in the school community in a free kind of mini course.
Oh, cool. I'm part of the school. Here. If you just tell us,
Yeah, it's just the one that says it's like just called Rep Select course or something like that. Rep Select job course. Awesome. I dropped the link in the chat, so if you save that link when you open the community, it'll be a video on like how to create a 1-minute video.
Amazing.
And then
thank you.
Second question, I can't
remember.
No,
I think you answered both of my questions. The other was about the management and own pipeline, but I think this makes sense. I think you pretty much answered all my questions at the moment, and I want to have on others to others. Thank you so much for your time, Ty.
No problem. Milena,
appreciate it.
Hi there. My question is actually regarding to the looms, and you sound like you've got so much experience. So I would really want to hear, like, what is a good loom for you, and what is like how we can stand out, because there's like hundreds and I would say so many people applying for the same job. How do we stand out?
You'd be surprised how much just like a decent loom will differentiate you, because 99% of them are absolute garbage, right? 99% of them don't even do the bare minimum. And it sounds like it's not true, but it really, really is. And like when I say 99% are garbage, I mean the bare minimum of them don't even have good mic, camera quality, audio quality. Like some people are taking them, like I can't tell you how many intro videos I've seen where people are just like in their wife beater or just like walking around outside, or it's really not that hard if you just make it look and sound good and you said anything else, right? From that alone, you'll be above like 80 to 90% of the videos that get submitted. But as for what business owners are actually looking for, and this is for those of you without sales experience as well, it kind of just, the more sales experience you have, the more you can lean on it in the intro video. The less you have, the more you have to lean on these other things. And those other things are the main thing that business owners are looking for, which is how do you communicate, right? They're just looking at your communication skills. That's the whole point of the intro video. If it was all about track record, they would just look at your resume. The reason why the intro video is so important is because what business owners are thinking when they watch your video is they say, okay, Milena, if I were to take the words of my pitch and take how you sound, your tone, your energy, your confidence, everything, and just take the words that you're saying out of your mouth and plug in my pitch, would you sell well, right? Because the intro video is I'm pitching myself to you. I'm selling myself. So what's your energy like when you're doing that? Are you confident in selling yourself? Because if you're not coming across confident in selling yourself in this intro video, why would I be confident in having you sell my other thing? You should know more about you than anything else. And if you can't sell that confidently, then you won't sell something else confidently, right? So primarily, they're like, okay, how is Milena's communication skills? Then when it comes to the look of the video, they're looking at good lighting, good camera, good audio quality, decent location in terms of, just not like a weird location, just a regular, like all of you that have your cameras on, all your locations looks fine, right? Just like a regular, as close to an office type setup that you could have, not portrait like you're holding a phone, but landscape that where you would actually, they want to see where you would take Zoom calls from. That's what they're looking for. It's like, where are you going to take your Zoom calls from? If you just take the video off your phone, then they've got to guess and they don't have time to guess, right? Because at the end of the day, most of these offers, especially B2B, you're going to be speaking to 7-figure business owners, you're going to be speaking to professionals, and they want to see that you can show up looking like a professional as well. So if you just come on there, good energy, good tonality, good cadence, and you're confident in what you're saying, and you have good microphone quality. It doesn't have to be like, like a big professional mic. It just has to not be chippy and hazy, and you have good camera quality. Again, just normal 1080p. That alone will put you massively above the rest. When it comes to speaking about your experience, if you do have a track record, make sure that the intro video is as numbers focused as it can be, because business owners love numbers. Take all of the sexiest numbers throughout your career and put them on display. That's what they want to hear if you have a track record. They want to hear close rates, show rates, cash collected, referrals, all of that stuff, follow-ups. They want to hear it. If you did cold calling, they want to hear like how many dials per day, what was the result to that, all of that. Also, if you have any achievements, and this is for people with experience and without experience, whatever work history you had in the past, you want to talk about what you achieved at those companies. Because even if it's not about sales, a big thing that the recruiters are looking for, even at Closer.io, they're like, does this person have a habit of being a top performer, being a winner? It doesn't matter if it's not sales. High performers perform highly in almost everything that they do. It's because of the work ethic, because of certain things that they just have going for them in terms of their mentality and what they try to accomplish, right? So if you ever won any awards at a company, if you were top of your team, there's so many sales reps that were like number one rep on the team of 10 closers and just don't mention it in the intro video. It's like, mention those things. Those things go a long way. Top 3, number 2, whatever. If the company you were at was doing 100K a month, and when you joined, you added another 100K a month, and because you're coming in as another closer, then mention that you helped the company scale to 200K from 100. Like, you got to mention these things. If they really like leadership as well. If you were, even if it wasn't sales, if you were team lead anywhere, mention that, right? What you want to avoid is language that makes you sound like a complete beginner. Even if you are, you don't want to use language that makes you sound like it, because the whole point of the intro video is it's like a movie trailer. You want to show the best parts, and then you guys can have a further conversation on the interview. All you need to do is get them to accept you on the interview. Now, what makes you sound like it is when people say stuff like, now that I'm getting into this, or now I'm trying to start off as a closer, or all you need to do, you need to speak as if you already are it. Not like, hey, now I'm transitioning to this. Now I'm getting started in this, or I'm looking to get my first role in this. You don't need to say any of that. Just speak as if you already are it. So for example, if I had someone who was like a team lead for some kind of company that had nothing to do with sales, in their intro video, they could say, hey, I was team leader here, and leading a team, I had to do this, which is what helped me in my sales career, right? In this way. So you can talk about, if you don't have the experience, talk about transferable skills that are actively helping you now in your current ongoing sales career. Instead of saying these things, some people make a small tweak and they'll say, hey, these are the things I did and it helped me now that I'm getting started in this. But again, you can just bridge that gap as if you already are in sales, right? Again, you're selling yourself. And when you get on the interview, they'll ask questions and you guys can have the conversation. You never want to lie, but again, you don't want anything to make them turned off by you in that intro video. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Awesome. And the order at which I'd mention things is I would go work history, track record, numbers first. Then you can go into like any training, communities, whatever you've been a part of. Then you can kind of finish it off if you want to add like anything that you're looking for in a company, and then finish with a strong call to action. Whether it's, hey, let's jump on a call, happy to do a role play and show you my skills. Or you can simply, if you have like a rep select profile, for example, with a bunch of role plays and stuff and it's all filled out, that's where you can end it off being like, hey, and I've got a bunch of role plays and other examples of my sales skills that I'd love to show you. I went ahead and linked it below for you. And then that's where you can like share that profile, or even if it's like a Google Doc or a Drive or whatever, right? But you want to finish with a strong call to action instead of just leaving it open-ended and go from there. Make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And one last question regarding the looms. How long should it be?
1 minute. 1 minute and 20 seconds max, but keep it to 1 minute. Um, I mean, you guys all do it when you're scrolling YouTube. If like the longer the video, the less chance you're gonna click on it. You know what I mean? Um, if it's most people want 1 minute, 1 minute's more than enough time. You don't need to ramble on about stuff. Business owners, they're probably looking at hundreds, especially recruiters, looking at hundreds of looms a day. If they see something's like 3 minutes, they're usually, well, this is what I said. I have, of all the videos we watched at Closers IO, we probably finished like five. you know, like all of them, the recruiters would play the first 10 to 20 seconds and then be like, okay, cool, got what I need. And that was it. So that first 10 to 20 seconds is super important. And the reason why it was only 10 to 20 seconds is because they look at your resume, see your history, and then they're like, okay, can this person communicate well? And they figure that out in the first 10 to 20 seconds and they say, okay, cool. And they move on, So yeah, that first 10 to 20 seconds is, they already made the decision from there. Barely have I ever seen anyone finish an intro video. So yeah, just start strong. That's why I said, like, keep it numbers focused. Because if it takes you 20, 30 seconds before you even start talking about like your history and your sales track record and all that stuff, like most people just didn't hear it, So yeah.
Great, appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Karina, what's up?
Hello, hello. Oh my goodness, I'm just blown away by this call tonight. Thank you for sharing all your experiences also. Yeah,
No
I'm
problem.
glad that I'm here tonight. Some days I can't make it, but yeah, tonight we are in bank holiday, but I stopped my life to come over. So, I will break down in parts because I have a specific offer that I already made the application, but I need to record. And yeah, I'm feeling insecure about the details, how Milena just mentioned. For example, when I fill up the form online, they ended with saying, "Oh, thank you for filling out the form. Could you record a 2 to 3 minutes loan for us?" So in this situation, you just mention 1 minute to 120 because it's already a specific offer. Should I go for 2 minutes? Should I go for 3 minutes? Or should I keep in 1 minute? As you
Do what
mentioned,
they
they
asked.
normal.
Absolutely do what they asked. I've seen sales managers like, and it's if they ever mention a time, do your best to be exact. Like I've seen sales managers complain that they asked for a minute video and someone sent like a minute and 5 seconds, and they're like, this person can't follow instructions. We're not going to interview them,
Okay.
right? So if they say send us a 1 minute loom, send us a 2 minute loom, send what they ask. I would even just do like 2.5 minutes exactly and
Okay.
send it to them. Yeah, because they're gonna be like, hey, if you can't follow instructions on the little stuff, then it's gonna just translate to bigger stuff that we ask you to do. Whether it's true or not, that's what that's how they're gonna take it, right? So always follow the directions. Did they ask questions as well? Did they say like answer these questions in your video or no?
They didn't, but they asked lots of questions during the form, and it's one of my points. It's why I'm kind of stuck now, because I thought, should I go to the questions they asked for them to see the truth in my answers? Or because they already asked the questions and they're going to put things together, should I just bring complementary information that wasn't really covered in the questions? It's one of another point that I would like to ask you about.
Yeah, in that case, I would answer their questions in the video.
Okay.
That's what I would do, just because whatever questions they put there is what they care about. And if you answer other stuff, you're kind of guessing what they care about. So I would just pop in that video, be like, hey, I'm Karina. Thank you for watching this video. I'm going to go ahead and answer the questions that you put on the form, starting with the first one. And then just answer the questions, keep it to 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. And then finish off with, hey, if there's any additional information you'd like from me, like if you'd like to see this, this, or this, happy to send that over. Just let me know. Looking forward to interviewing with you. And just end it off like that.
Okay, beautiful. Another question that, like when I did my high virtual ticket sales closing, they always were talking about the camera to get not only this man bit that you are seeing now, but from my waist to up, So, do you have this conception as well? There is a specific area that I need to show on the intro video.
Yeah, I would again make it look the exact same way you would look on a Zoom call, which is typically like mid chest and a little bit above the head.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't go like all the way down to the waist. Like that's usually just not how anyone's on Zoom. But yeah, I mean the what you're showing now in terms of the height is totally fine in my opinion. Again, unless they ask for something different, then yeah, that's normal.
Oh, okay. It's all right. Thank you for letting me know. The quality camera that you just mentioned, right? I bought a camera from Microsoft, and when I recorded, I realized that it likes when the video is recorded, the light comes up and down, and it's like, how can I say? When the sun's just going into the sunset, it goes like it stays stable and then it goes dark and then it goes
It has like an
bright
auto
again.
lighting or
So,
something.
sorry?
It has like auto lighting.
I don't know. I'm just wondering about this because I tried to buy a very good one. So it is something that they are going to consider bad as well for someone that will represent the brand, that the light is not stable. And so, should I buy a new one or should I keep this one and they will just flexibilize these sort of things
Well,
according to your experience?
I mean, is it shifting constantly in the intro video, and would it be shifting constantly in an interview?
Um, in the
Probably
interviews,
not,
it
right?
doesn't look like it more when I record things, I believe, or
You
maybe
should you
because I'm
should get your own
interacting.
lighting, like depending on where your office is set up. Like you should have good lighting so that way you have more control over it. Like most cameras that have like auto lighting, you can either turn it off in the settings, or if you
Mhm.
have your own lighting, it will kind of counteract it and it'll be consistent. Um,
Okay.
so it shouldn't be a huge issue as long as it's shooting 1080p normal stuff. You shouldn't have a huge issue. Just getting like, just like what I got here is just like a random light. You can get them off Amazon pretty cheap. That will just
Okay.
allow you to have more control over the lighting. But yeah, if you're in a place with like a big window, and the light
Yeah.
shining in makes a big difference, then you might want to just like close the blinds and get your own lighting, because I've seen some closers during the day, they look great, and at night it's super dark. And it
Got it.
depends on when your calls are. Maybe it's never going to be an issue, maybe it will be. But you want to have
Got it.
control over
Yeah.
like your setup and your lighting and how things look.
When I did the video as well, I put a lot of lighting to make it to look bright. So it should not be having these up and down. And because
Hmm.
I wear glasses, depending on the position of the light, my glasses shine
Could
quite a
glare,
lot.
yeah.
However, I have the special cover. So, and I'm just thinking like when these people watch this, probably it's gonna be bothering them, the light just brighten on my glasses anyway.
Yeah, and I
Okay,
would also,
about
last thing I'll
yeah,
say on
sorry.
that, I'll also find somewhere where you like wouldn't have to use a virtual background as well. I know virtual
Mhm.
backgrounds, business owners, they really don't like
They
it,
don't
especially like
like.
even intro videos, all that stuff. Sometimes prospects think you've got something to hide, or whatever. Unless it's like a company branded professional one, then yeah, I've just heard tons of times business owners and recruiters just be like, "Oh, it's a virtual background. I don't trust it," or whatever. So I would not
Yeah.
use one if you don't, unless you really have to. But again, all you just a blank wall would be better than a virtual background.
Yeah, no, I just ordered some stuff that is exactly, it will give the look as my window because I have a massive window door here and it's good as well, but bad in a way because if I put that on my background because of the sunlight, it just
Mm-hmm.
the
It'll
light is too
glare.
much
Yeah,
and I get really I don't know how to explain it, but the brightness is not
the
good for
shadowing. Yeah,
the look. And then I bought something that's gonna make the same look. It's gonna be basically white and greeny. I'm reproduce this. I just order. I'm just waiting because I'm imported from China to make a professional background exactly like this, but in real life. Because yeah, it's this movement when things just disappear. I know that's really, really annoying. But
perfect.
yeah, I'm waiting for that. Yeah, I think there's just one more point. in my case, because when I normally do, especially general intro videos, one thing that is really important for me because of the backgrounds I come from, I already transitioned career about 3 times. So basically law, teaching, and now I'm in healthcare, and it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
my fourth career transition. One thing that I'd like to say that is really true to my personality is that I don't do hard sales. I
Mm-hmm.
understand that selling is serving, and I need to just help people to get clarity on what they need and that the product is right or not for them. I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand that every sales call that I get, I need to sell to people because I don't think as well it's good for the business if in the long run they start to get people upset because they got something that is different from what they were looking for. So how do you understand this for me to be explaining this to the camera, saying like in this specific position, she mentions that she do not want people to be doing hard sale, and it's really kind of finding the right match. And it's what I'm looking for as well, because especially in law, you just need to match the case with the with the law to make it really work. You don't invent things. If they are there, you make them match. If they are not there, you must say you can't win here, because of this and that. So do you think it's something when I do for these general intro videos, I should raise or I should just keep it quiet to make it easier for me to pass for the interview stage, I mean?
Yeah, any good company would agree with you on that, right? No company wants to enroll bad fits because that's a headache, refunds, and all these other problems that come with it. And again, any good company would most likely have some kind of either webinar, VSL, or appointment setters that qualify to make sure bad fits aren't even on the closers' calendars. In terms of intro videos and in the interviews, a really good rule of thumb is to not spend too much time talking about what you won't do and flip it around to what you will do, right? So instead of saying like I refuse to hard sell, you can say, hey, what I really love about the position or what I would really love to do is make sure that we're really helping people and we're enrolling the best fit possible for the company. It's you're saying the same stuff, but you're focusing on the positive of what you will do and what you do focus on. And again, if you are looking at the offer, vetting it, looking at the testimonials, case studies, you can even position it as something you love about that specific company in the interview process. Like, hey, one thing I really liked about you guys was the fact that you guys have great testimonials, a lot of raving reviews, and that's really important to me is making sure that we're really helping people, really seeing transformations, and I would love to be a part of a company that's changing lives in that way, because that's my biggest focus is enrolling the best fit for your company so that we have people that aren't going to refund, aren't going to this, aren't going to that. I mean, if it does get there, you can get into that. But again, I wouldn't focus on like, oh, this is what I won't do, this is what I refuse to do, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I got it. Okay. I think I got everything. Thank you so much, Ty.
Can I
And
ask you a follow-up question about what you just said? I know you're next, Rock, but is that
What's up?
okay?
Yeah, quick. Yeah, what's up?
All
Yeah,
good.
so like on that call, I think it's a great question because we're all gonna have interviews, but like how do you say we position also getting information about them? Like what's the, like all the numbers that we need to know, because I think that's the mistake I've been making. It's like
Yeah,
I'm trying to sell myself and then I get in, I'm like, man, why did I don't even want to be here. Like go
yeah.
through all this work.
Depending on the interview process, you ask all of those questions either like let's say they do a group call to a one-on-one or they do a one-on-one then a mock call and then they give you the offer. You either ask it on like a second or third round in some kind of one-on-one process, or you ask it after you've been given the offer, right? Because if you collect the offer, you have the leverage of like, okay, you already said you want me on the team. Now you can just ask the questions you want to ask without worry about anything. And again, if they refuse to answer questions about the offer, then obviously that's just a red flag, right? Or if they just don't know their numbers at all, that's also a red flag. So yeah, I mean, it's totally okay to either on the second or third round ask questions about the numbers, or when you've already gotten an offer, like, hey, Puya would like to bring you on the team. Like, awesome. Well, let's get on a call during onboarding, whatever, ask some questions, figure out the numbers of everything, and then move forward if it makes sense.
But you wouldn't do it on the first call.
No, probably not on the very first call. It depends
Okay.
on the call, right? But probably not on the very first call. If
Okay.
it was like one-on-one with the founder, small team, just kind of kicking things off, I would ask some questions for sure about the team and about his vision and everything like that. But if it's maybe a bigger team, group interview, a little bit more competitive, then I'd probably hold off and wait.
Okay. And then do you actually ask them to send you like track sheets of the numbers for the past 90 days? Like, or do you just say
I haven't done
verbally?
all that. It's mostly just been verbal because, there's got to be an element of trust between both of you,
Hmm.
And it's like if you're already at the place where you're like semi-proof, I get it, but at the same time, they're gonna be like, all right, man, like, come on, like, if you don't
Yeah.
trust me, then why are we getting into this business relationship right now? If you don't trust me, if I say it's this, like, you should trust that it is that. I'm not saying nobody would ever
Hmm.
lie or make stuff up, but I mean, if someone is the type of person that would lie, then you don't want to be in business with them anyway. And it's not like you're not going to see the CR. Like, there's so many signs once you get into the Slack and everything. Like, if the sales channel in the Slack has been dead for the last 3-4 days, if you get into the CRM and there's like no contacts in the deals closed section, like,
Yeah.
tracking sheets usually on team meetings, they get pulled up. Like, these are things you're going to see very quickly. Easiest thing to do is just when you get on a team, just hop on one-on-ones with everyone on the team, just one by one,
Hmm.
DM each person, hop on a one-on-one and be like, just, and not from a standpoint of like trying to get the dirt, but from a standpoint of like, hey, how can I be successful here? What should I do? What should I avoid? What should I learn? What's the biggest objection you're facing? And just through conversation, it's going to come out like how they're performing, how the company's performing, and all these things pretty quickly in the first day or two anyway. And then you'll see if things are accurate or not.
Oh,
Yeah, I
can
find
I
that the
just
short ratio has been the challenge for me, and sometimes when they're scaling, they bring in a bunch of new people in, and I'm part of those, and then the lead flow goes down,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a bunch of changes. But yeah, it's good. It's good information to do it later on after I get the offer, and then also like just last one, I promise. And like sometimes like I get the offer. Is it okay to say like I'm talking to like five other CEOs and then I will let you know? Because
Yeah.
I don't want to say, right? Like, do you feel that's appropriate?
Yeah. It's absolutely appropriate. I mean, most people want to hire fast, so you're just taking a risk that you might lose the offer, but it's not like you're not allowed to
Yeah.
say no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you are
Okay.
risking that they're gonna go with someone else, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Awesome, Rockman, what's up?
Hey, hi. So I'm quite new in this environment, I would say. I mean, I have background of 12 years in sales from owning my own company, working in retail, working as a brand manager in telco. So I did a lot of sales, but just ran into the high ticket sales, etc. And that was like 14 days ago, and I'm just consuming all the things that's
Welcome.
happening on YouTube here, meetings there. So I would like to ask you for a start. So as I have seen some kind of path that is for start good, it's starting the mock calls, going then from being maybe shy on the beginning to getting some to get some traction, etc., and then try to find an offer. How long should I, since I got experience in sales, I know psychology of sales. I know quite a lot of things, I would say, but I would just have to a little bit implement it into now high ticket sales or remote sales business. So my question is, um, should I be doing mock calls, I don't know, for 1 month, 2 months, and then move on? Or is that something if I get it in 14 days, it's okay, move on and try to find a job and start working?
Yeah, everyone's roadmap is different. There's not one way to do it.
Of course, yeah.
If the main things you want to know for the sales skills, am I ready to jump on an offer side, is are you comfortable right now jumping on a sales call and just understanding the framework of this is how I start the call, this is
Okay.
how I
Yeah.
do the discovery, and this is how I
Yeah.
pitch, and if there are some concerns, this is how I navigate it. If you're like, generally I understand the framework, I just need the product knowledge to plug in, then
Mm-hmm.
you're okay to start applying. And then when it comes to the application process, it's just, do I have the assets to apply? The main asset is, do I have an intro video?
Yeah.
Role play examples are a good bonus. They're not 100% needed, but they are a good bonus. But I mean, assets just in terms of like, do I have a resume set up? Do I have an intro video set up? And do I know where to start applying? Again, it's not like you can jump in and land a role within a week or two, but if you jump on on a call and you're totally blindsided by how the actual framework of the call works and where to go, then you probably weren't ready. But if you're like, hey, I understand that as a closer, I jump on, we kick off the call, we ask some questions about the problem, probe, dig deep, move into some of the goals, figure out where we're going, ask some solution-based, consequence-based questions, timeline-based questions, and then we can transition into a pitch, let them know what we have to offer if it makes sense for them, and then I can close up and handle some objections. If you just understand how to do that, then cool. Yeah, you'd be ready to start applying right now. It's just about making an intro video and kicking it off. That makes sense?
Yeah, so that's why I meant I would start as a setter, get a little bit of traction, get a little bit, since English is also not my first language, but I can learn fast. I mean, I have learned all my life English, so it's not a problem. I just need to get a little bit into it, let's say, since I haven't used it for last year. But I would start as a setter and later move on to be a closer maybe. But I think that is something I could become with my experience, of course. But yeah, for just as a setter to start now, I think it would be okay if I do some mock calls. I understand what questions does setter ask and
Yeah,
what
pretty
are things
much. I
to
mean,
do.
do some role plays,
Yeah.
but get it looked at by someone that knows what they're doing, whether it's me, whether it's someone else. Get it looked at by someone who can say, you know what, yeah, you get the general framework, it looks good. Reviewing it yourself, you might miss a lot of things and having the person that you are role playing with, you might miss a lot of things too, because a lot of that is like the blind leading the blind. Chances are you're role playing with someone else who's also new
With some
and trying to get into their first
beginner,
offer as well.
yeah.
So I would say at least get like 1 or 2 call reviews, even if it's just like, even if you just found a setter who's been setting for a year or so or a couple months that you're networking with, and be like, hey, what do you think about this call? You know what I mean? Have someone look it over and be like, yeah, you get the framework, you understand it, and then you can start applying and go from there. And then
cool. Yeah, sorry, just last question. So as I don't have experience in remote sales, but have a lot of experience in B2B, B2C from before, should I include that record into 1 minute Loom video just to see them that I have background from sales, a lot of experience, etc.?
Absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Any job history you're going to add in the intro video, especially sales job history, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Cool. Kareem, what's up, man?
Yeah, I've got a question that you land a job offer, if they ask for an interview, what would make me different from others to land the offer?
What would make you different, like in terms of answering interview questions?
Yes.
Yeah, so you want to get really good at answering interview questions for sure. I actually have a free video on that topic as well that I'll drop in the chat. But essentially, it depends on what type of interview it is. If it's a group interview, there's a few tips that you want to follow in terms of like always going first when they ask questions. If they kind of let anyone answer, you want to ask good questions at the end of the call that showcase that you're kind of thinking on the same track as the interviewer, which it's in the video if you watch it. Again, standing out in the interview, it just comes down to alignment, and it comes down to, do they see you as someone who's going to gel and mesh with the team? I can't tell you how many times I've heard sales managers just say, like, I'm looking for someone who's confident, someone who has the same or similar sales framework as we do, and someone I can just see myself like being chill with and hanging out with. Right. I remember one of my buddies who's managed tons of teams. He's like, if I think that getting trapped in an elevator with you would drive me nuts, then I won't hire you. Right. So again, they're just looking for a calm, cool personality, confidence, and an ability to understand, be coachable, you know. Now in terms of like how to answer specific interview questions, we can go through that like one by one, but I would watch that video I dropped in the chat first and go from there.
Okay.
Cool.
So my next question is that what would a sales rep make uninterested? I mean, what would it make what questions would make a sales rep uninterested?
Like questions that you would ask the business that would make them not want to hire you, you're
Yes,
saying?
the question I will ask. Yes.
Okay. So the biggest turnoff for a business owner would be like just a sales rep that kind of has a really negative outlook and attitude, which I can understand and get because some offers suck and some offers are great. But if you're coming onto the call like, oh, do you guys have like a lot of leads? Because the last offer I was at, they didn't have good lead flow. And you're just being like negative, you know, that's going to turn a lot of business owners off for sure. If all of your questions are super, I guess just super focused on like, oh, how many leads do you have? Like, what's the commission? And these are technical things that you want to ask, but if it's like the first thing and your sole focus, that might turn some business owners off. What else? Yeah, like how much money is the reps on the team making right now? Like questions like that, just being upfront right off the bat might turn them off. It's more of the spirit at which you ask the questions from than the actual questions. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's bad questions, but I don't think you would actually ask any like weird or bad questions naturally. I think all the questions you would ask naturally would be like qualifying the offer, but it just depends on the light at which you ask them in. Like if you're trying to genuinely vet the offer, or are you just like complaining and being negative? You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand. When you make a Loom video, you make a Loom video of 30 seconds. What should specifically you mention in the Loom video?
Yeah, as I said before, you want to go over your sales history or just any job history, track record. If you have sales history, it's mostly numbers focused and achievement based. If it's not sales, it would be achievement based and transferable skills. And then you would go into any kind of like trainings you've gone through, work you've done, like, hey, I've prepared, I've done a bunch of mock, like XYZ mock calls, I've had my calls reviewed, I've, whatever you want to say there. Talking about how you understand the framework you've learned from XYZ trainers. That further, and again, you don't want to say like, I've learned from these people, so I'm just getting started. You want to make it seem like these are just things that you use to further hone your ability, right? Like, so to further improve my sales skills, I also invested here, invested there, or I worked with this person, worked with that person because I'm dedicated to growth. Not like, hey, I did XYZ's program, so I'm ready for my first offer. Like, you know what I mean? And then again, finish with a strong call to action, and away you go.
Okay, that's it for me.
Awesome. Well, in that case, we will end it here for today. Hopefully this call was valuable for everyone that jumped on. Good questions make these calls really good. So thank you all for jumping on. Thank you for asking questions. Feel free to post in the community, get some more people to come on to ask some more questions. That will only make these calls better. I'll also be dropping the recording of this at some point in the community. And some of you I'll see on Wednesday if you're a part of the Rep Select like sales training membership part. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. The rest of you, maybe I'll see you next week, Monday. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.